Welcome to Key Conversations, where you get to connect with the best of the music business, unlocking the secrets to exploding your music career, presented by In the Key of Success. I'm your host, Cheryl B. Engelhardt. The conversations you're about to hear are between our special guest and participants of my MX4 course, the Marketing and Branding, Money-Making, Mentorship Mastermind for Musicians. They are singers, songwriters, composers, producers, and artists just like you, asking their burning questions of our experts while transforming their careers over 6 weeks. If you think this could be you, check out mx4course.com to schedule a free half-hour coaching call with me to see if we'd be a good fit. So, let's get started. We are back speaking to Melissa, who founded Rhyme Partners, a publishing company in Nashville, and we are going to dive into all things publishing. Jeb, do you have a question for Melissa?
Sure, actually, I do. Hi, Melissa. Thanks for joining us. Over my 20 years that I've been actively pursuing a career as a singer-songwriter. Oh, you can take that if you want.
No. That is opportunity calling.
Sorry about that, guys.
Everyone, all the time, I meet people when I'm in workshops and whatnot. They say, "You gotta go to Nashville. You just go." I just go there, and then I arrive with my bags. Here I am, and they're like, "Yeah, you go there, and you meet people, and everybody wants to write with everybody." Like that's kind of sounds like utopia speak. And I'm wondering, like, if you can talk about that. Is that kind of the culture? If I show up as a songwriter, where do I go?
Okay. I love this question too. And so the answer, if there was a question like, do I need to move to Nashville, is you don't have to move to Nashville, but let me try to give you an analogy of the difference, okay? And this is my experience, so it's 100% authentic. But, and I know we're on an audio podcast, there'll be people listening, and I want to do these things with my hands because I'm Italian, and I talk with my hands, but I would say that if you are, let's just say for everybody that's going to be also listening, if you are here and I'm putting my hand like at my chin and you're doing it, you're writing with people and you're active and you've been doing this for 20 years, you moved to Nashville and so you can't see how tall my house is, but you in a short period of time go from there to 3 stories above my home. It's just when you're in the environment, when you're absolutely in the environment, your education, your experience, your networking, it truly skyrockets. Now, that doesn't have to be Nashville. That can be LA. That can be New York, wherever your music scene is. But if you are in one of those hubs, they are absolutely correct, Jeb. I would have no reason but to tell you very, very honestly that is the truth. So imagine you're in a place where you don't have to explain your dream to anybody. We all get it. We've got the same dream. And so that in itself automatically makes your soul feel at home. Mm-hmm. How do you feel being on this podcast, working with Cheryl? You get up every day and there's got to be a sense of I'm in this environment that I love, that this is me. So multiply that times the umpteenth. And it's almost like this wow factor. To me, I'm going to be very quirky and corny and everything and tell you that Nashville is magic. Mm-hmm. But for me, I'm just lucky enough now that I'm getting a little bit of the LA scene and New York and stuff. And so it's all just so wonderful. But certainly if you have an opportunity to move to Nashville, don't wait, do it.
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question.
It did. Thank you.
And it's a scary question to ask, and it's a scary question to hear the answer to. And I get that question a lot too. And I just moved out of New York after being 12 years there. But some of the best advice I got from a mentor of mine was, listen, like in this digital age, like, yes, you can do songwriting and you can Skype a session and you can do all these things but don't be afraid of getting on a plane either. And don't be like, I used to go to LA just once a year, and now I go 2 or 3 times, and I see people there sometimes more than my sister who lives in New York right now. Like, it's actually because I'm making the effort when I go out there. I'm like, I don't want to waste one afternoon. So I have booked the meetings and everything, and you can make it work. And you're
right, Cheryl. So what the key thing she said there, guys, is after 12 years of doing it professionally. So right now, I split my time between California and Nashville. Now, I can do that at this point. But if you're asking me, like, if you want to submerge yourself and you really want to get to that place, then yes, moving to Nashville is very it's really productive for your career. And then 10 years down the road, or 5 years, or 1 year, if you step off the plane or bus and get a hit, then you sort of have those connections already, and you have that, and you actually almost necessarily need to scale it back, because I have to tell you, you would be overwhelmed at the amount of opportunity that you actually have. There's not a day that you have to say, if you wanted to co-write 2-3 times a day. I don't know the number of songwriters that live in this town, but it's thousands upon thousands. And so yeah.
Awesome. It's a conundrum. It's definitely.
And then it's like telling the grizzly bears, you don't need to go over there to grab the salmon.
Yeah.
There's a few of them that swim this way and you can, but they're like, no, I'm going where all the salmon are jumping and the opportunities. That's a silly analogy. My husband's a biologist. That made me think that.
Which I love, you guys. I think that's why I love Melissa so much, is she's got a bio person in her house.
That's right. Birds and music.
Yeah. Well, I was going to go to Mark, which I said, but Mark, Rudy's got his hand up. So,
I just want to add something to Jeb's question, very quick. So I'm just wondering, would you think that way for any kind of music? Or
so I think the biggest misconception about Nashville is that it's all country music, but it's not. It's Music City. But I would be interested to know what specific kind of music you are more interested in, because there might be some other place for you.
Okay, I will ask you that when it's my turn on my question, because that's
go ahead, Rudy. We're doing your question now.
Okay. So I'm about to release my own album, and my target audience is millennial people, Latino people. So I was wondering, as a company, if you explore artists in a niche like this, or since you're based in Nashville, you explode and develop bands in different kind of target audience,
Well, I say this by the grace of God. I don't know how. If I wasn't a songwriter and a business owner, I'd do some kind of networking guru somehow, some way. I just seem to know a lot of people. I don't really know where that comes from, but it's very useful for what I do in publishing. So ironically, I have a Latin track that I did a couple years back that I just got placed in an ABC movie. It's 100% Latin track. I don't have a lot of them, Rudy, but I can tell you that didn't happen in Nashville. That happened from one of my contacts. So the answer is 2-part. Yes, I have contacts that I could possibly turn you onto. I don't have a large division of rhyme partners that yet handles your type of music. There is definitely people in Nashville, but I would probably, if I were you, I would look more probably towards what's going on even in the Miami, Florida music kind of scene, and California for sure. And and also, if you're going to release your music digitally on all the platforms,
that's the plan. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, do you have a fan base?
I want to construct all that. I have a fan base, but with my ex band, and this is a new project that I'm launching. So I want to use that fan base to this new project.
Okay. How big is that other fan base?
It's we have like 4,000 followers on Facebook.
Okay. So,
but they're good followers. Like, he'll post something and he'll get 30 comments. It's it's a good fan base.
Organic, real fans, not like we didn't pay for them.
That's really good. That's really good, because all you really need, really, I mean, I'm going to throw this number out there. I don't know that this is the number, but just in general speaking, all you need is 1,000 loyal fans type thing that are just loyal. So building your tribe is so incredibly important, Rudy. I would focus so much on that. And I'd even, if in my experience, I'd even hold back a month or two or however long to release your product, because one thing that I know for sure is it's classic. So many people, because it's obtainable, right? They have a band, they have a desire, they know how they can hire the musicians, and so they put a record together. But getting that fan base is the hardest part of it. But I mean, just think about it. It's like if you release this and you don't have your tribe, you know, it can really, you can sit around and wait and be like, I thought all 4,000 people were going to download this, or at least 10%. And then you'd say, oh, but only 1% downloaded it. So building your tribe and then having your tribe and then giving them a product is always, you know, the way to go. So I don't know what types of social media platforms or different things you're doing. You know, I mentor artists all the time that, you know, are doing Facebook Live. Facebook Live now has really, do you do a lot of Facebook Live, Cheryl, or some of it?
I've started to do it on the group for musicians because I just like talking to musicians better. And I have been doing that. I'll do a Facebook Live on my fan page if I'm like creating something or want to like, you know, give a behind the scenes thing every once. But I mean, my first one, I know this was around Christmas time last year, because someone was like, hey, do you know that you have reindeers and nose, you know, antlers and a nose mask, you know, like one of those filters on you? And I was like, no, I have no, how do you get it off? I was like stuck as Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So that's, it was, I just started doing it, and I know it's super valuable. And when I see someone going live, like I always tune in. So like yes, it's a thing.
Well, you know, Rudy, there's just so many tools out there. Just be like a sponge. There's so many tools out there. There's so many things that can, YouTube is amazing. You just search for, you know, ways that you can build your fan base and what, you know, reviews, read things, figure out what works for people. And the process of going live is so funny. I mean, I've had like these big buildups. I'm going to be live at this time. And then my viewers would be like, hey, we can't see you. There's nothing there. And it's like, and you're like, oh my gosh. So you will run into things. You will run into technical difficulties, but the more you do it, and then watch yourself, you know, watch back your videos and everything, and then go watch other people that have got lots of hits. And so just kind of immerse yourself. If this is something and you look young enough to start this career, but immerse yourself into building that fan base, and then they give you the power. You really don't have to depend on a label or, you know, they give you the power. Yeah.
You've got a great start, Rudy. So you're in a good place. Good.
I do have a question for Jeb. Jeb, what part of the South are you in?
I'm in New York City.
Oh, that part of the South.
Well, I'm from Tucson. That's kind of South.
No, you're not in the South. Okay, you're in New York City.
Southern New York.
Brooklyn, right? Is that
counts?
State.
South. And you've been there your whole life.
Where? In New York?
Yes.
No, I moved here 8 years ago.
Okay, and you're a songwriter, musician?
I'm a songwriter, yeah. I mean, I'm a performing songwriter, but mostly dedicated to recording the past couple years.
Did you say you were a performing songwriter or you weren't?
No, I was. And I still aspire to be. I'm trying to find that balance of whether or not I want to do the live thing at all. If it's important to have that. My goal this year is to have music featured in film and TV.
And you create it there in your home?
I have a writing partner with whom I record.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
There you go. Melissa's getting deep here. I love it. Let's get Mark's question, and then we can go around and do a laser round with everyone again. Or if Melissa has more questions for us, which hasn't happened very often, but I like it. Mark, do you have a question for Melissa?
I do. Hi, Melissa. Thank you so much for doing this. My question
has name, Mark Marshall.
Thank you.
Sounds important.
Thank you. It doesn't hurt. My question has to do with publishing. I'm an artist who also writes my own stuff. I do a little bit of cover stuff, but mostly my own stuff. And my question is around placement and publishing when it comes to. So I'm signed with BMI, which means that I will get the publisher's cut regardless. But there are places where, with placement, somebody wants a piece of the publishing. So my question is, seeing as you kind of do this, what's the most effective way when you have a piece of music that somebody wants to license? I have an album that's about to come out. So I'm in the process right now of going through, doing the whole BMI thing, and whether I put it under my own publishing company or whether I leave that open because some people who do placement, want a piece of it. I'm not sure how to proceed, and there are a million different people who will tell you a million different things.
Absolutely. So, they will. So I'll just tell you my experience coming from a songwriter first and then a publisher. So unless you have the means to really exploit that piece of work, you want to pray that you get to give your publishing away. I've had all shades of experiences. Again, I'll say it over and over again. I got your back. I'm coming from the perspective of a songwriter first, because that is what I am first and foremost. I fell into the publishing. I love it. But so I have signed every shade of deal. So I've gotten excited early on when somebody wanted to represent a song, and no questions asked. I was just excited to be getting a deal, a single song contract, and I've signed it away, and they said it was going to go here, there, and everywhere. And years later, I signed that publishing away. And now that I'm a publisher, I've had opportunities with Disney to place that particular song, and the publishing is tied up, and I'm trying to get it untied up. So that can happen. But on the flip side, not tying up my publishing, because even myself, even though I own my own publishing company, when I'm pitching something, I will say, oh, by the way, my publishing is 100% available on this. So if someone comes to you and they say, listen, they can all but really promise, because anything could happen. But if they have a project and they say this song wants to be cut, Mark, don't even hesitate. 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. And if you're easy to work with, they are going to come back to you. But if you go ahead and even have it registered and tied up, and they go, is the publishing available? And you're like, well, you can have it, but it's tied up, blah, blah. A lot of times they're not going to want to undo the paperwork. They're not going to want to, it's not always, it's just things that I run into. So I tell people, because when I moved to Nashville, people would say, well, you got to, protect yourself and get your own publishing. For me, that was kind of the worst advice, because really that was my bargaining chip. Your publishing is your nugget. It's your thing that you want to give that away, because it's like, let that person who does that end of it do their job, unless you want to and you aspire to make all those publishing connections and to become a publisher and set up your own admin. And let me tell you, the paperwork will drive you nutty. I thank God I have a very detail-minded husband, because depending on once you've done it a few times, then it's cool and it's exciting and you know what you're doing. But it takes, I don't know. I mean, I think that if you can be flexible with your publishing, be flexible.
That's a really interesting context. I want to follow up with that. So are you suggesting that even when you're registering a song, you don't register the publishing at all? Because that, to me, feels like maybe there's money getting missed out, especially if you own it's your quote.
Well,
company.
I try to tell people, if you have activity going on with the song, then you as the publisher can collect on that activity. But right. It really kind of depends on what that activity is. Because right. If we're talking a few cents,
right?
Cheryl, that we do get those checks for a few pennies.
I got one today. I was super excited about it. So that
was why I asked, because like I said, BMI does give you as the writer, unless you have it registered publishing somewhere else, they give you the publisher's cut.
Yes.
They do.
Yeah,
they have that 200% rule. But I've been told that places like Sound Exchange will not give you the publisher's cut. They will only give you the writer's cut. So that's why I was asking. I mean, it's not like...
So let me clarify. Sound Exchange doesn't collect for writers or publishers.
Really? Only the recording?
Only the performance.
The performance.
Yeah. Yes, and the master, in some cases, producer and stuff like that. So, and that's not iTunes performances. That's radio and platforms like that. It's not going to be your download streaming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pandora, I get my Sound Exchange pays me for my Pandora plays. And I just got this check today with the whole long list of 0.06 cents for this play and and I'm like, okay.
Yes, and because Sound Exchange has now, it's changing a little bit. Sound Exchange is a little bit going away. It is going to be funneled through the PROs now. So
yeah, they were acting as a PRO essentially for that third entity, which was not the writer, not the publisher, but the performer. So
right. Yeah. So if you were the writer and the performer, well, it wouldn't matter. You're going to get royalties from them for the performance. Not the writing. I want to say something to you that you may or may not know. Cheryl may or may not know. So one thing that, and Jeb, you talk about being a performing songwriter. So I wish that someone had told me really early on. I wish that someone had explained the live performance side of things. Okay, so those for you writers who are also performing songwriters. Now, in Nashville, this goes on a lot because in Nashville, every night you can be playing in a venue here. It's sort of like Las Vegas. There's a slot machine in the bathroom, of everywhere you go. Well, in Nashville, there's live music in every corner, hotel, coffee shop. It's just everywhere. So naturally, us songwriters are playing out every week, everywhere, all the time. Part of your performing rights organization's duty is to collect licenses from every single venue that is out there that is streaming any kind of music, via live music, So they collect licenses. Well, that money is to pay those music entities, and you as the performing songwriter are one of those. And so I have an app on my phone because I'm also a BMI writer and publisher. So my BMI Live app is on my phone, and after performances, I log my performances. And I gotta tell you, not only does it keep you on your PRO's radar, ASCAP, CSAC, BMI, but I like every quarter getting that money dumped into my account for my performances. And so many performing songwriters do not do that. And I'm the hugest advocate for saying, get paid your performance royalty. Now it's got to be original songs. So you get up, and I don't know where's the last time you played or performed, but guess what? That was money you were owed. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool. How many of you currently collect your live performance money? Of course, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of fun. And I find it interesting that the different venues pay different amounts.
Yeah. I mean, I did a festival in Switzerland a couple of years ago, and I had to give my set list. And that was the first time that someone asked me for the set list. I played all the venues in New York City, and no one asks for it. And I'm like, oh, whoa, I could actually be, every time I play, I can give them my set list with the songs that are registered with, I'm ASCAP, the song, and then they pay me for this. What? It was kind of, it was actually 10 years ago when I did that festival. That was the first time I had heard. I'm like, why am I giving you my set list? Why do you care? And they're like, oh, because of our performing their version of, most other countries only have one. We're the only crazy company that has 3 performing rights organizations. So yeah, it's a cool thing to do. And some years, if you're playing a lot, even if you're not, it depends on the venue. There's so many, I don't even know what all the factors are, but there's so many different things going on back there and those behind the scenes. I imagine a lot of typewriters for some reason with
the reason I say this, guys, is because it's not life-changing money, but anytime you can, there's ways that you can there's multiple income streams in the music business. And I'm sorry, but if it's $60, that's grocery money, that's gas money to me. And it also makes me feel valid. And I think it's also very important. So if you are a performing songwriter, and you don't have to be in Nashville, just wherever you are playing, go check out, especially, you, Rudy, you guys go check out your PRO. If it's ASCAP, it's called On Stage. If it's BMI, it's called BMI Live. I can't remember what CSAX is, but they also pay. But it's so simple. You just go in and you put your performances, and then every quarter it comes on your statement. Do you play live, Mark? Have you been collecting your live performance? Are you going to start?
I am. Well, I just started doing my own stuff out live. I've done a bunch of cover stuff forever, but I'm just starting to do my own stuff live, and I am going to get the BMI app this afternoon. So
BMI Live, and you're going to love it. And it's almost like, in Nashville, it's harder. Most people play for free, so there's not a lot of venues that pay. There are some that pay, but it is nice to know that when you go out to play, you're at least probably going to sell some music, some CDs, and you get to log and get paid for your performance. So even if the venue's not paying you, so it's a plus if the venue's paying you, because that's the venue paying you. That has nothing to do with going and recording your performances and getting paid. So good deal. I'm glad to know you'll be getting some royalties from that, Mark.
Nice job. Oh, I love that you brought that up. That's so we don't talk about that. So we have 1 minute left. I am very aware of the time and that you have so much to do. So I am going to ask you one final laser question for all of the songwriters, artists out there that have their own catalog. What is the best way for them to approach someone like you to develop a relationship where it's a win-win for everyone? What do you need to hear from an artist to be like, yes, you?
Thank you for saying where it's a win-win, because the truth of the matter is, and I say this wholeheartedly because I love the business so much, and I'm convinced if I was there, a multi-millionaire, I probably would have no problem getting up every day and just pouring in and giving to people. But the truth of the matter is I had to learn how to discern and how to earn a living and how to make my company run, and how to pay my bills and stuff. So I get approached all the time, basically with the same thing: is, can I send you one of my songs? Can I this? Can I that? And so, coming from first the viewpoint of a songwriter, I had a hard time with being one of those publishers that would say, I'm not going to take unsolicited material. I don't have that as a written rule, but I finally figured out in business why that was in place. And it was because, your computer will crash. You simply can't honor people enough because you get so many inquiries. You just don't have the time to give them the feedback. And the second thing is that if you do take it, and this business, I can tell you firsthand, I've written so many songs that I've heard out there where I would assume somebody heard my song and they copied it, and so there's that if you listen to a song and then you ironically have that same story or a similar song in your catalog, and believe me, that can happen. Mary Jo drowned in the river, and you're like, oh my God, my writer just turned in Mary Jo drowned in the river. I know it doesn't seem likely, but it happens. I mean, I'm using a crazy analogy, but it's so true, you guys. And so for legal purposes, so as I began to get a lot busier, with just my daily work and my songwriting and everything, I did set up a way where I would sort of, kind of like what you guys are doing. You're making an investment in yourself, that I would sort of sort out what I really considered are the people that really saw value in what I had to give and what they had to give back to themselves, and that would invest an hour in. So up on my website, I do have, where you can buy an hour session with me. It could be a topic of your choice. And if that topic was, hey, Melissa, can I play you these songs that I think are hit songs? Or can you tell me how to get in touch with some of these music supervisors? Or can you give me direction? It doesn't matter what topic that you want to talk about. I found that people who are willing to invest that time and respect my time are the ones who are a little bit more serious about their careers. And also then obviously it makes me feel like, okay, I'm getting paid for this. I can get up, and I can do this, and I can carve out this time. Because believe it or not, you would spend your days and your weeks and your months meeting someone at a coffee shop, talking to someone on the phone, because everybody reaches out. So congratulations to you guys for spending, investing. I mean, I know I was probably going to go to Target today and spend $99 easy. So, rather spend that money.
You're moving. You're allowed. That's what you do when you're moving, though. So.
Yeah, well, no, but what I mean is like, in saying that for you guys, if you're going to go out and spend that money anyway, why not consider spending it on a course like you're taking right now, or, getting the information that you need. It just is smart. I've done it. I've invested so much. And so here I am.
Well, that's really cool. And thank you for being one of the publishers that offers that. Again, rhymepartners.net. Melissa, thank you so much for your time. I know we pushed it a little bit and really insightful, and I can't thank
I wish you guys the best. Believe in it because it's real. And there's a place for everyone. And I really mean that. I believe it. There really is. So
stay tuned for next week when we talk with the amazing producer, Chris Griffin. He is a vocal coach and a producer mixer in New York City, and he has got it going on, so you don't want to miss this one. Please don't forget to rate and comment on iTunes and Stitcher Radio if you like this podcast. It's the best way to keep it going, get more subscribers, and continue to share this awesome information with the indie music community. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. All of the music on this podcast was provided by yours truly. The theme song is called Inevitably, and it was written with Cameron Ernst and produced by Joey Auck. If you're interested to find out more about my own composing and songwriting projects, go to cbemusic.com. If you're a musician looking to really get some results that you're psyched about in your music career, then head to inthekeyofsuccess.com, where I've created a bunch of different kinds of resources just for you. Key Conversations is sponsored in part by Bandzoogle. They make it easy to build a beautiful website for your music. Their step-by-step system gets you online in minutes, and you can choose from hundreds of mobile-friendly themes and customize them with their easy point-and-click editor. All the features you could possibly imagine for a professional website are built in. So, because you are a Key Conversations podcast listener, you get a special 3-month free trial just for you. Go to www.inthekeyofsuccess.com/resources and click on the Bandzoogle logo to access your free extended trial.